All right, we finally got there. We're talking about the last movie on this podcast. As you just said about Conclave, you watched it just hours before we recorded. Well, this is what happened to me with I Saw the TV Glow. I watched it a couple of hours ago on your recommendation, so it could be the last movie we talk about today. Hoo-wee, this one now. You really left the best to last here. A24 again. I did see the poster for this a while back. Kind of uninspiring, sort of just a silhouette of somebody watching telly with this sort of pink glow. And I thought, okay. Oh, it's a horror or something. And I just didn't know what to make of it. You said to me, like we talked about a few minutes ago with Strange Darling, go in blind. Don't read anything about it. Don't try and get any background on it. Just go in and see what you think of it. So the first hour, I was really, really into it. I was like, looks beautiful. It's very A24. It's got a really nice vibe to it, like a boutique indie kind of vibe. It's like, yeah. The story of the young lad and gets to know the girl. They bond over this TV show. So I was getting Twin Peaks vibes. There's this show I used to watch growing up called Erie, Indiana in the 90s, which was, again, like the show in this film, it was a kids thing, but older kids, and it had very much that kind of weirdness about it. It was a very strange town where anything could happen and usually did. So it had a bit of that about it. And like I say, for the first hour, I was like, this is really cool. Where's this going to go? The second hour, everything breaks down. Everything, and I don't mean that as in the film fails and breaks down. I mean, everything that's been going on breaks down to a level of everything changes in a way. And it's like, oh, this is more sort of the pacing changes. It gets very weird. And you start to, it's less obvious of what's going on. And it's like these sort of long scenes of people just, talking about stuff or explaining something or how they felt or the past or what's been happening. And you kind of go, well, all right, but what the hell is, what am I supposed to believe here? With, there's no definite, it's this or that. It's kind of like left to your own devices to kind of figure out what's going on. And then by the end, it really does leave you with a, what the fuck have I just watched feeling? So that's where I came out of it, and I was like, what the hell was that getting at? What was that? What were we talking about here? Again, going back to what we've just talked about with the substance and a different man, there may be some elements here that we can draw parallels with in the idea of cutting yourself open and what's on the inside, the representation of that. So I obviously did go away afterwards and do a bit of reading about it because I was so sort of thrown by it all. I thought, what is this? Obviously, you know this now as well, but this is basically an allegory of being transgender and what it means to, obviously, the filmmaker, Jane Schoenbrunn. She said this is part of a trilogy. There's a film before this and there's one still to come. There's going to be thematically a trilogy, not directly, of course. So I thought, okay, there's a whole world here I know nothing about or understand very well. And this, in a way, is a sort of like window opening on that topic. So very, very interesting in that sense. I did love this film. I thought it was so challenging and so sort of surreal and different that it just can't be ignored. Again, I think it's a divisive film. Some people hated it, but I can guess the kind of people that hated it. But people who loved Twin Peaks or David Lynch or that kind of cinema where, oh, geez, we're not only talking about this in a postmodernistic sense, we're also recreating these kind of weird scenes and doing very interesting and weird things with basically to portray people's psyche, people's inside feelings, emotions. Very, very interesting. So totally was blown away in the same sort of sense, like with the substance. But I've got to admit, like I say, when I came out of it, I was just like, I don't know what the fuck was going on there. Like we said about Men, the Alex Garland thing. And I got to the end of that and I was like, I just don't know what's going on here. Yeah. It was like that with this, but this I was a little bit more sort of as a film sort of enamored by because of the way it was done, the visuals. I thought the young guy in it was really good, and the even younger version of him, he was great at the start. She was very good as Maddie. Fred Durst played his dad. Do you remember Fred Durst?
Yeah.
He was the dad in this. At first I was thinking, is that Billy Corgan? Because it was a very 90s influenced film, and reading about it afterwards, you can see why. Like Sharon Brune was obviously, that was when she was this age, Yeah, I think beyond the transgender allegory, there's also stuff to relate to for anyone in it, because this idea of when you're young, you use art, or in this case television show, to as a form of escapism, as also as a sense of wonder that the world might be more magical in other ways than you're experiencing, especially if you're going through something traumatic or something that it's like, whatever it be, a broken home, or whatever your issue is, you look for stuff, and it's there when you're younger. And as you get older, that kind of fades a bit. You wonder for the world, and this idea of the world being like, in some ways magical, in some ways like this, fantastical place to express yourself in and to be part of, wanes the older you get, because you forget the experiences of, there's the one scene where he watches back the show when he's older, and it's like, oh, it was a lot different than I remember. It was a lot cheesier, and it was falling flat on its face.
Well, I think that's a key aspect of the film, is that it's very soaked in nostalgia. And they say that TV show, very much, I think, like Buffy Vampire Slayer, kind of that type of show. It's alluding to...
That was the major influence on her, apparently. Well, that's what I was reading afterwards. I mean, I didn't get that because I didn't watch Buffy, but that was the main key influence.
And I think it's very key looking at, as you say, that kind of bit where he looks at it when he's older. It's that whole thing of, it's the tinted glasses we have with nostalgia for yesteryear, something that it was better than it was. And, we've all experienced this when we've gone back and looked at someone and then gone, oh, it was shit, actually. In our minds all this time, it's been this. And as you say, because as a child, it's a different thing, right? You have this experience. So it's very interesting. It's very, as you say, it's a really vibrant film. You've got that indie feel to it, but also this kind of neon perspective as well with the TV and stuff that, has these wonderful colour palettes that are playing. Great cast, very distinctive. To me, this is a standout film of the year, A24 again. This is a real special film, because I've not really watched something like this in such a long time, where I've gone, wow, this is really different. Yeah. Because I sat at the end of the film exactly the same, going, well, I enjoyed that, but I have no idea what any of this is supposed to mean.
No.
And then a quick read on my phone, and within a couple of minutes, I went, oh.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, all these scenes that I'd watched and not quite understood were locking into place, and I was going, oh, and so that means, and it all came together. And I was really profoundly moved in a way.
Yeah.
Right. And it is quite quite an educational experience. And
definitely.
An enlightening moment of, okay, and so interesting. But the themes that go along with that are so universal as well. It's about escapism. It's about isolation. It's about not fitting in. These are themes that are not just a part of that experience, they're part of many people's experiences as they're younger and at times in their life. And so, I think they dealt with so many things so well in a really interesting story that does challenge. And as you say, I think there will be people who don't like this. We know who those people are. Fuck them.
So you're right.
And, for everyone else, this is a treat to just, challenge yourself and sit and watch something like this. It's a real worthwhile experience, I think.
They can't hurt you if you don't think about them.
Thanks very much for watching this video. We really appreciate it. The best way to support this channel is by dropping us a like and subscribing. Other ways to support us include Buy Me a Coffee and Patreon. This video was sponsored by funkyt-shirts.co.uk. Check out their website for a full range of awesome t-shirt designs. You can find all the links in the description.